So, welcome to the first one of fall semester of the Research and Application webinar series. This is on scholarly communication support at UNCG, services from the university libraries by Anna Kraft. And Anna, take it away. And again, remember, if you leave your camera on, you will be on YouTube.
All right, thanks, y'all. Good morning and welcome. I have put the slides link in the chat so y'all can follow along, consult them later, or maybe share them if you would like to share these with classes or groups. So like Sam said, this is Scholarly Communication Support at UNCG, and we're going to be talking about some services here in the university libraries. So this is me. I'm Anna Kraft. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the coordinator of scholarly communications here in the university libraries. And it is the first week of classes. It's fall 2025. There is a lot happening. So I am grateful and kind of amazed that people are here to watch this while there's so much going on. I don't expect that everyone will remember everything that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to cover a lot of information. This has been running about 30 minutes when I've practiced. So if you have to leave at the 30-minute mark, and you have questions and we don't have time for them, you're welcome to contact me, or I can stay on a little while after to answer them. But thank you for being here during this wildly busy time. And we are going to cover a lot today. Again, no need to try to remember everything, and you'll have the slides and the recording. Some kind of general things I wanted to say first are that the libraries are here to help, and we are open. You may have seen the construction, the fence, and the lift and everything around the tower right now on campus. If you've been there lately, the tower is closed for renovation, but the main part of the library, the brick building, is open, and the Harold Schiffman Music Library is open as well. You can, of course, always consult our website. We have a page with hours in case you would like to see what the hours are for specific spaces and services that are open. And if you want to learn more about the renovation, we have a page about that. Also, if you are a student or a faculty member in one of our academic departments, the library has a liaison specifically for your department who can help you with research assistance. If you're not sure who that person is, we have a guide who will that will tell you. So we offer a lot of different services, resources, and spaces on campus. But today, in this session, we're specifically going to focus on some of the ways that we can support you in relation to publishing and sharing scholarship. So if you need help with other things, like your research, identifying or getting access to materials, other things like that, you're probably going to want to start with that liaison librarian. So these are some of the things that we're going to cover today. And so we'll talk about open access, journal quality, author rights, research identity, scholarship metrics. Many of these things are very much connected. And there are other things that we can touch on as well as needed. And I can't see the chat when I only have one screen. So you are welcome to, of course, put questions in the chat as we go through this. And Sam will try to stop me, or we can address them at the end. So first, open access in relation to sharing your scholarship. So we all probably have heard of open access, or OA, as it is sometimes called. This is our free-to-read online academic scholarship, which has no sign-ins, no paywalls, no subscriptions. Everyone who is on an uncensored internet connection should be able to access open access scholarship. And because it is so available, it's associated with higher readership and higher citation rates than our closed or subscription-based access that's usually associated with paywalls. And because open access raises that visibility and readership of your scholarship, it really benefits a lot of people. So readers at UNCG, readers in the wider scholarly community, the general public, both in this country and around the world. So it's really positive for getting academic scholarship out there. And if you've been around UNCG, you probably know UNCG's institutional repository, NC Docs. This site may be familiar to you. It has been around for about 20 years, so it's pretty ancient in terms of internet sites. And we are in the final stages of moving to a new updated system. It is so new that we are still working on getting the finalizations in place for this to be available for everyone. But this is what it's going to look like. It's under the header of Digital Greensboro, which is also going to contain many other digital and digitized collections related to Greensboro history, UNCG history, and other collections that relate to UNCG's collecting areas and priority areas. But this is the page for NC Docs, our kind of landing page, where we have a search, and we can also narrow down into different collections for faculty and staff works and different areas of student collections. And we will do a much deeper dive on this once we have launched it and gotten it into place. I don't know if that'll be later this semester or early next semester, but stay tuned for more on this as we kind of soft launch it out onto campus. So we are moving the system, but it is still serving as our OA repository for campus scholarship. It's still sharing publications, presentations, other scholarly works from campus affiliates. It's still providing that stable platform and profile for sharing your scholarship. So if you had a profile and scholarship in our current or old NC Docs, it is being migrated to the new system. You do not have to do anything. And the Go link that's here right now still takes you to that old platform, but this will be updated once the new one is officially available. And so we will still have profiles. This is an example of a profile from the old system. This is one of those last pieces that we're getting in place with the new system. There will be something similar where faculty will be able to have a profile that will show a little information about their publications, to have that kind of landing page. So how do you submit work? You can contact us, ncdocs@uncg.edu. You could send us a copy of an article or a slide deck, or you might send a list, like a CV, that includes a list of your publications. And then our team, which includes several people, at least one of which is on the call today, shout out to our great graduate assistant, Faith. Our team will take care of checking that copyright on your works. Generally, when we publish articles, often there's a copyright transfer to the publisher. And in that case, we can't necessarily add things to NC Docs. We do have to check on that copyright clearance, but that's something that our team works on. So we would review your publications, check on copyright, add them to the system if we can, and contact you if there are any updates or if we need more information. Okay, so now we're going to shift over to talking about funding for open access publishing. So this open access model means free readership, but there are still costs associated with this type of scholarship. So much like closed access scholarship, it is not free to produce or publish OA scholarship. There's still people that work on these processes and systems. There's still the systems and platforms and other work that goes into them. The funding model is just different. And one way that some open access scholarship is funded is through what's called article processing charges, or APCs. And these, unfortunately, are publication fees that are charged to authors. So this funding structure shifts publication costs from subscribers, which are often institutions or libraries, to those individual authors. Though sometimes these fees might be paid by the author's funding agency, their employer, their library, not always. And these can be quite expensive. We do see some APCs where journals are charging simply on like a cost recovery basis for maybe paying for indexing or something like that, and they might charge maybe $100. But many APCs are much more expensive, into the thousands of dollars. So we are regularly seeing APCs that average around $3,000 to $4,000. So this can really price some authors out if they don't have funding for this. So this is really challenging. And the libraries do offer some limited support through our Open Access Publishing Fund and through some discount and waiver agreements with some academic publishers. So this is an area where we can provide some assistance. I'm not going to go into full details about all of our publisher deals or discounts today, but I'm going to mention them. And if you have questions, you can, of course, contact me. And we'll probably do a deeper dive on this maybe in the spring of 2025, because we do have at least one new agreement that will be coming online, in 2026. Okay, so our APC waiver deals right now include the American Chemical Society, Cambridge University Press, Elsevier, Springer Nature, and Wiley. But I will say that there are some limits and conditions on a number of these deals. So not all journals are necessarily eligible, and in some cases, there are limitations on the number of APC waivers that we have. So they are not unlimited. We also have some discount deals through IGI Global, MDPI, and Sage, and these are pretty low discounts. They're like 5 to 10%, so it's not a lot. But in certain situations, you can combine those discounts with Open Access Publishing Fund funding, depending on the review process. You have to put in an application for that and be reviewed. So we have full details on our guide, and I can always answer questions about these areas as well. A little more information about this area. Authorship is pretty critical. So for most of these deals, you or another UNCG co-author need to be listed as the corresponding author of the manuscript in order for your manuscript to be eligible for funding. And the corresponding author is not necessarily the first author. They are generally the one who is being the point person on submitting the work and serving as in that correspondence role as it moves through the review process and into production and publication. Also, again, not all journals are necessarily eligible. In certain publisher deals, only limited categories of journals are eligible, such as, for example, hybrid open access journals, which are those subscription journals by default where there is an open access option that authors can select. This does get kind of complicated. Not everyone knows what a hybrid journal is. That is okay. So at any point, if you have questions about if your journal is eligible, what the criteria are, please contact me and I will help you. I also want to note that not all of our funding deals are necessarily in place forever. There may be some changes to availability of some deals in 2026. We are in a climate of budget cuts, unfortunately, and that does affect some of these offerings, or could affect some of these offerings. And some of our limited use deals may expire before the end of 2025. So at any point, again, if you have questions about if something is available, if you are eligible, please contact me. We also have our Open Access Publishing Fund. This is offered through the university libraries in partnership with the Office of Research and Engagement, and offers awards of up to $1,500 to offset the cost of publishing in OA journals. So this wouldn't really be useful to you if you are publishing in one of those full APC waiver deals, but if you're publishing in one of the discount deals, or if you are publishing with a publisher with which we do not have an agreement, this could potentially support your work. So this is open to full-time faculty, full-time EHRA employees, and enrolled graduate students. And we do have a guide with a lot more information. So again, our guide link, our guidelines, if you'd like to see the criteria, and our application are available on our website. If you have questions about this, you're welcome to contact me. You can also contact my colleague, Christine Fisher, who leads the review committee that reviews the applications and is very knowledgeable about many aspects of this, including the funding transfers, which I know almost nothing about. Okay, so that's the OAPF. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit to evaluating journal quality. Okay. So sadly, we have to talk about this because this is something that has sprung up along with the growth of open access publishing. There are some bad actors in this area, and not all journals that claim to be open access are actually legitimate publication venues. So this is a bummer. We do have to watch out for these journals, these publishers, and these conferences that operate under these deceptive practices. So they want to make money from your scholarship without adding any value to the process. So they're charging those APCs, but they are not providing quality control like peer review or publishing services like copy editing, layout, and proofreading. But they are misleading authors by saying that they do provide those things, saying that you are going through peer review, saying that they are doing all these services for you. And we really don't want our scholarship to be published in these unreviewed venues. This can be potentially damaging to your academic reputation. The way that people often get entangled with these publishers is that they are really aggressive in reaching out via email. And often what they're doing is going to the tables of contents for legitimate journals and pulling out author names and author email addresses. They know that when you're publishing in an academic journal, you are likely going to want to publish again. You are in the system, you're an academic, a researcher, and probably you are going to continue publishing your work. So they know that's their target audience, and those are the people that they're trying to trick into publishing with them. So what we see here is an email that one of our researchers received. It has a lot of red flags, and some of them are kind of similar to what you would expect with a phishing email. But here they're not trying to steal like your credentials or your login. They are trying to get you to send them your manuscript so that they can charge you to publish it. So we see some kind of unprofessional language. We are in need of articles for the successful release, blah, blah, blah. Eminent people like you, kind of some flattery. Then some kind of like vaguely menacing or threatening. We hope you don't disappoint us. Acknowledge this email within 24 hours. Kind of trying to make this sound time sensitive. These are pretty common tactics with predatory solicitations. Some of them are really easy to recognize. So here's one that I received a few years ago. Esteemed researcher, again, this kind of flattery, but things really start falling apart on the second line. And in the paragraph that follows that, where we've got some really wild, I assume they're all supposed to be words, but I don't recognize a lot of them. Another red flag with this one in particular is that I'm a librarian. I don't publish or have any real knowledge of archaeology or anthropology. And this is kind of a common situation where researchers are being targeted, but it's not in an area that they actually publish in. I receive a lot of predatory solicitations for predatory dentistry journals because I once published an article that related to the use of oral histories in libraries. So sometimes they're doing some kind of keyword matching, but they're not always very good at it. So if you receive something like this, obviously we don't want to publish here. But sadly, not all predatory journal websites or emails show these really glaring red flags, and some of them are becoming kind of slicker. They're looking better, becoming smarter. Also making this kind of complicated is that not all journals are easily classified as good or bad. There can really be some gray areas. So not all journals are going to be 100% a good journal in all aspects. There may be positives and negatives, and you as an author would need to really think about what you're comfortable with. But this is an area we can help in, and we want people to evaluate their publication options, those venues, before they submit their work, because it is much easier to keep your article out of a bad journal by not submitting than to try to get your work back once you have submitted to a predatory journal. Sometimes that does not work out. This can be challenging, but this is an area that we help with. So you can, of course, always start with your liaison librarian. You can also reach out to me. And there's some resources that can help. Think, Check, Submit. It's a checklist. It's available freely online. Journal Evaluation Tool is a very detailed rubric created by librarians. That's also freely available online. We do presentations about this topic from time to time. So there's some slide decks and recordings that are also available that are on YouTube. All right, shifting gears again, we're going to quickly touch on author rights. Disclaimer here that I'm not a lawyer. I can't provide any type of legal advice, and copyright is definitely a legal area. But author rights and awareness in this area is important for those of us in academia who are publishing, because often, not always, when we are publishing, especially in academic journals, we might be asked or even required to transfer some of our rights to the publisher. And this can limit your ability to reuse or share your own work in the future, such as sharing through NC Docs. So if you're asked to sign a publication agreement, you want to read it carefully before you sign and try to make sure you understand what rights you're keeping and what rights you are assigning to the publisher. There are some tools like the copyright addendum engine that's offered through Spark, where you can generate a document where you would request to keep some of your rights. You could attach that to your publication agreement. So there are some tools out there that you can use to request retention of some rights. Publishers do not always, they're not always willing to honor those requests. But if you'd like to learn more about this area, we do have a guide. And I also want to note that the Creative Commons licenses that are out there, which y'all have likely at least seen, if not used, these are really helpful ways for authors and other creators to let others, users, readers, know how they might use those works. So these are standardized licenses that allow you to grant certain permissions to your works. You might, when publishing in open access journals, be asked to select a license. You might be given an option between perhaps some of the ones that you see here. This is an area where we can provide guidance. I'm not going to tell you what license to select, but I can tell you what the differences are in the licenses and what some of the considerations are. So keep in mind that these are out there as well. All right. Quickly, a few words about managing researcher identity. So your researcher or research identity is made up of a lot of different components, some of which you see on this slide. Just your affiliation with UNCG as part of your research identity. Online profiles that are academic, citations, collaboration, even the way your name is stacked. All of these things are part of that. And there are a number of systems that are out there that can help you track and share and promote your scholarship. And these can be used as part of your research identity as well, to kind of have that platform for sharing your work. So I will note that we do workshops about this topic sometimes, and we can do them by request for departments or courses. We do these sometimes for graduate classes. I don't actually recommend all of the systems that we see here on this slide. But this is the sort of thing that we can talk through what the positives and negatives are, how these platforms differ, what we might use them for. So just keep that in mind. Very much connected to this is the idea of scholarship metrics. So you may have heard of some of the terms on this slide relating to impact and metrics and certain metrics like H-index or I-10 index. Here's an example of a profile from Google Scholar Citations for one of our very prolific psychology professors, Paul Sylvia. The screenshot was taken several months ago, so it doesn't show fully up-to-date information. But this is an example of one of those platforms that can help you understand the impact of your work. So Google Scholar Citations can show you citation numbers. It can also show you some metrics related to H-index and I-10 index and show that graphed over time in terms of citations. All of the systems that are out there are slightly different, and they have access to different universes of content. So Google has a ton of content that they index, but some of the other systems like Scopus, maybe more targeted. So they would show a different kind of view of what your citation numbers and metrics look like. So it can sometimes be helpful to have more than one of these systems so that you can see a fuller picture of how these different systems are viewing your impact and metrics. This can be often useful for folks going through reappointment, tenure, and other review processes who want to show some impact metrics. Okay, really quickly to wrap up, this is a very wordy slide. Sorry, y'all, but I want to acknowledge here that the scholarly communications landscape is being really impacted by a lot of things: artificial intelligence, policy changes, changes in funding, and other things. I definitely don't have all the answers. I am trying to learn along the way as we are experiencing some of these changes. The screen cap that you see taking up much of this slide is from an email that one of our researchers received recently. And I'm grateful that he forwarded it to his liaison, who then contacted me, because it was really helpful for me to see. What this is that this author published a book with a certain publisher a few years ago. And because it was a book, the common practice with that is that authors retain copyright. So he is the copyright holder of this particular book. The publisher is trying to put together a package of content to license to artificial intelligence companies. So they are trying to make money off their back catalog by selling the rights to generative AI to have those works used in LLM training. So they are offering this author the option to opt in to have his book included in this package. And I don't think it shows it on this slide, but they were offering him some kind of maybe 20% royalties on that, but there's no information about how much that would actually be. I'm imagining it would be a pretty small amount of money. So again, this is an area where I'm not going to tell you what you should do if you receive a request like this, but I can potentially help you think through some of the considerations. So seeing this kind of stuff is really helpful for me to understand what our authors are facing in relation to their publication and sharing. Okay, so we really sped through the end of that. But if you have questions about these or other scholarly communication areas, please reach out. You can always start with your liaison librarian. They are the specialist in your academic area. I'm more of a generalist, but you can contact me as well about these topics. So I want to thank y'all for being here in this wild first week of classes. And again, we've got the slides and we can take questions. So I'm going to stop sharing. And if there are questions, y'all are welcome to ask.
There was no questions in the chat. I put the follow-up survey in the chat and I'll send it in the email as well. But if y'all have any questions, you can also unmute at this time and that would be fine as well. Or Anna can see chat's chat. There you go.
Let's see. So Chad says, I'm interested in keeping tabs on recently published research articles by arts and sciences faculty. Do you have any advice on how to search for recent scholarly articles by UNCG faculty? Search engine, keywords? Yeah, searching by the individual scholar would be really tough because there are so many. I don't immediately have a thought on this. This might be one of those things that we would have used Scopus for when we had access to that. Sam, Rachel, other liaisons that might be here, if y'all have thoughts about this, please chime in.
I don't think Scopus, in my experience with it, would have been the end-all be-all of this, because similar to what you're talking about, it's typically individual author search. If there was a way to do bulk searching like that, then I was not aware of it. But yeah,
actually, there is, so there's a new tool called Open Alex, and I think that might be a good tool for this because I know you can limit by institution. that's a tool that I don't know a ton about. I'm just getting started with learning about it, but let me see if I can bring up the website. I think that would be something that I would recommend checking out. Um, I'm going to put the link in the chat.
I know that in ProQuest dissertations and theses, institution is a clickable field. So it might be in some of their other databases. That's what's coming to mind for me.
Chad, I'll do a little, I've used OpenAlex a tiny bit, but I'll do a little search on that after this and see if I can refresh my memory and send a follow-up about any. I watched a webinar about this pretty recently that I might be able to find the link to as well. So that I think that could be a promising source. And if I think of others, I will reach out. Any other questions?
As people might be thinking of it, that's totally fine. I also put the next webinar in the chat. It's next week. We're coming in hot at the beginning of the semester. But it's let me read it. Digitized Historical Periodical Databases by Jenny Dale. Same Thursday at 11 a.m., but on August 28th. So keep that in mind and let your colleagues, friends, UNCG friends know. Anna dropped a link to an OpenAlex chat. Sorry, chat link. I guess to bulk author searching.
Yeah, so that's a UNCG, a link to a UNCG institution-based search. It brought up a ton of results. There are some filters to be able to limit by type, like article or book chapter, and also by topic. And I think there's probably a way to filter by date as well. This is a pretty powerful tool. Oh yeah, there's a date.
So
a date
you
filter.
Can also, if you have a Google Scholar profile, like mine lists UNC Greensboro. And when I click on that, I get access to multiple profile, anyone who's created a profile, which again would not be necessarily everyone, but you can see like the names if you have a list of names. I don't see a way to export that. But it does say like Paul Sylvia's first. I mean, I guess they're doing it by citation metrics, you know what I mean? And then next is Michael Kane, professor of psychology. But then the issue is like, I don't know how current, you know what I mean? Like have they retired? Or you know what I mean? Because their profile would live on after they retired. So I don't think that's in a perfect solution, but that is there.
Yeah, there are probably a lot of tools that can do part of what we might want, but
yeah, not the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like we gave people time to think. Oh, Chad,
yeah, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you for answering that question. Since I have you all on here and you're like the library brain trust, I have another question that may not be particularly relevant, but my role is in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm the pre-award grants administrator, and every federal grant I work on has a requirement that researchers share the products of their research, data management, and they have to prepare a data management and sharing plan for NIH or NSF. And one thing I just wanted to ask you all is if you have boilerplate language that faculty could incorporate into their data management and sharing plans about how the university can support the sharing of their research products. It might be useful to people. And I guess along those lines too, all these federal grants require a facility statement, and many people do discuss the library facilities as university resources that they can draw on in the conduct of their research. I don't know if there are other boilerplate documents that you have that you could share with me that I could share with folks to help them, improve their proposals along those
Yeah,
lines.
this is a tough area, because this has definitely been an area of need, but we have limited support in this area. So that information on the RDM guide that Sam shared, we do have Martin Halbert, but I will note that he has recently moved to be more fully based in the LIS program. So I'm not sure how available he is on this topic. So it's possible that he might be able to help.
Yeah, I'll talk to my boss and our associate dean, because if that's outdated information, we can change that on the guide. But we lost a data librarian, not lost like poof, but like they went to another job. And we haven't been able to fill that role in a while. So we've been having to keep that updated in different ways since then, like Anna was saying. So we'll have to get back to you, Chad.
Yeah, we definitely are aware that there is a need on campus for this type of support. Right now, our abilities in this area are somewhat limited.
Well, and I'm not necessarily asking for the support. I'm just asking if you have documents that we can use to describe it, or to incorporate. And it sounds like you do. I'll look at the links that you shared. And I didn't know if like NC Docs or something is something that people should be mentioning when they talk about sharing their scholarly products.
NC Docs can definitely be mentioned in the context of sharing published scholarship that might be coming out of grants. So articles and other products. It's not going to be the place to share research data.
Yeah.
But yes, it can certainly be mentioned in the context of sharing those final products.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being here and for the questions.
Sorry, I was chatting our associate dean in the background about, it was like, do we need to update this guide? So we'll be back in touch about that, Chad, because it's a great question, like Anna said. So since we're at 11:40, if we're at time, remember, I will send you a link to the webinar with this recording, which includes a transcript. We'll get it uploaded to YouTube. That takes a little bit longer to caption, but you have this transcript as well as Anna's slides, which have been shared in the chat a couple of times. Please fill out the survey just to let us know how this went if you have a chance, and I'll send the survey again in the email. And again, remember, come to our one next week. If you've already signed up for it when you signed up for this one, thank you, and you'll get an email similar to this week, either the day before or the morning of, inviting you into the calendar invite. So thanks again, Anna, and thanks everyone for being here. I always learn something in these. And have a great week, everyone. It's Thursday. I had to think about it.
Take care. Bye, y'all.
Bye.